Doctor Who has always been notorious for creating iconic villains over the years, such as the Daleks, the Cybermen, and that notorious Time Lord, the Master. But in the many years since the show began, many Doctor Who villains have gone under the radar and haven't really appeared as much as we'd like them to. So today I'm going to take a look at some Doctor Who villains that I'd love to see return to the main series. Now quite a few of these are some interesting ideas and some of them might be a bit controversial, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Okay, number 1, the Varsity Narrator. Appearing in the Series 4 two-part Science in the Library, Forest of the Dead, and the Doctor Who Adventure games, the Varsity Narrator have the ability to strip the flesh from literally any living thing, and on screen they haven't really been seen since 2008. I mean, expanded universe-wise, I think they were seen last in the Adventure games. They might have been in Big Finish, I'm not too au fait with that area of the expanded universe, but if they have been in the expanded universe and Big Finish, then please let me know. Anyway, seeing the Varsity Narrator back on screen would be very cool. Not only that, but seeing their full potential perhaps in a Base Under Siege story would be a great idea to utilise them. Okay, number 2, the Ronnie. A villain not seen since the later years of classic Doctor Who, the Ronnie, much like the Doctor and the Master, is another renegade Time Lord from Gallifrey. Now, as of present day and at the time of recording, we don't really know where the Ronnie ended up after the Time War. So if she were to appear, perhaps in a story involving the Master, then it would be a very cool way to go for her character, and it could possibly redeem her, much like Missy in the Series 10 finale. Okay, number 3, the Sea Devils. One of the more underrated classic foes, the Sea Devils haven't been seen since their debut episode in 1972, at least on screen. So if they were to return in some capacity, then it would be interesting to see a modern take on them. Now, in terms of how the Sea Devils would be used, I think it would be a good idea for the Sea Devils to meet the Silurians from Series 5 in that Matt Smith two-parter, and we could see sort of a war between them to see who gets control of the planet, because the Silurians originally lived on Earth first, at least according to history from the episodes. Okay, number 4, the Meddling Monk. Another character not seen since their debut on screen, at least on screen as I just said. The Monk has been given quite a lot of love on Big Finish, and if he were to appear again, I would suggest a story perhaps set in the 60s that possibly explores the Monk in his own personal history, and it explains what happened to the Monk after the Time War, and like the Ronnie, the story could be used to redeem the character. Now, there's some red tape that comes with that, because Big Finish, who do a lot of the Doctor Who audio stories, currently they hold the license to use the Meddling Monk in their audio stories, so it's possible that some kind of contract would need to be drawn up for the Monk to possibly appear in the main series again. Okay, number 5, the Celestial Toymaker. Okay, a lot of classic Who villains really need some more love, but the Celestial Toymaker, who appeared in the serial of the same name, which sadly is almost completely missing from the BBC archive, hasn't made any more on-screen appearances, at least on screen, although one was actually planned for the 6th Doctor's now missing final season, and that would have been cool. But seeing the Celestial Toymaker on screen could not only bring us up to speed on what he's been doing, but we could also see a sort of like a mind battle between the Doctor and the Celestial Toymaker. Now, in terms of the story, I think the Toymaker would be perfect for a festive special in which he reanimates children's Christmas toys and orders them to attack the Doctor. Yes, it's a bit cheesy and cartoonish, but I mean, it'd be a good way to utilise the Toymaker, especially if it's a festive special, and I think a special where the Celestial Toymaker reanimates children's toys, I think that's a nice way to draw Doctor Who back towards maybe a children's demographic, because I think we kind of lost that with when the Sarah Jane Adventures sadly ended. So, yeah. Okay, number 6, the Silence. While the arc in the Moffat era is very much over, the Silence was certainly terrifying to say the least, and there are actually still moments of the Silence from the Kavarian chapter out there. For those of you who don't know, the Kavarian chapter was basically the organisation that Madame Kavarian sort of founded, really, and she had members of the Silence on her side. Now, seeing these versions of the Silence on screen, who are still loyal to Madame Kavarian, would proved to be challenging for the Doctor, and in terms of story, I think that the Return of the Science has some groundwork for a multi-Doctor story, in which the current Doctor, we don't know if it's going to be Jodie, the 11th Doctor, and the 8th Doctors, all three of them, team up to defeat the Kavarian chapter Silence once and for all. I mean, who knows, maybe Madame Kavarian could show up again, because while she did sort of die in that alternate reality, I think that sort of got reversed when that fixed point in time got changed back to how it was supposed to go. So maybe Madame Kavarian is still out there with the Silence and her whole army. I mean, we don't necessarily know if she's still out there, but it would be cool to see her pop up again. Okay, number 7, Davros. Now, a villain that hasn't been seen since his Series 9 return, Davros is certainly a menacing threat that also, I think, is an intellectual match for the Doctor, and Davros certainly holds grounds for a possible return. Now, a story for Davros to return. Now, I want to give credit to Captainjimipie for this idea, because he posited the idea of classic Daleks possibly showing up in the new series story, and that gave me the idea for a story that Davros could potentially appear in, where the current Doctor comes face to face with an earlier version of Davros. It doesn't have to be the Julian Bleach version of Davros, but it could in fact be the Terry Mulloy version of Davros. Now, Terry Mulloy, for those of you who want to au fait with Classic Who, Terry Mulloy was one of the many actors who played Davros in the Classic series, so seeing him on screen once more would be a great way to draw in Classic fans of the show. And the idea that Jimmy had was to have Terry Mulloy pop up once more as the Emperor Davros from Remembrance of the Daleks. That is a fantastic idea, and it could even provide some ground for what happened to Davros in between Remembrance of the Daleks and the beginning of the Time War, because there's sort of a narrative gap there that's sort of blank. So maybe having that gap filled on screen would be very cool. And another idea I had was maybe the Doctor is torn between capturing Davros to prevent the Time War, or actually letting him go, because the Doctor knows that the Time War is always going to happen whether he lets Davros go or not. But again, it's up to the writers. Hopefully they'll come up with something better than I can. So yeah. Okay, my final pick on the list is the Valyart. Okay, you will probably saw this coming, but the Valyart is a villain that we need quite a bit more of on screen, and while he's been given a lot of love from the expanded media, Big Finish especially, but the Valyart and his backstory are very much steeped in mystery. We know from the Master and the episode The Ultimate Foe that the Valyart is an amalgamation of the Doctor's darker personality between the 12th and final incarnation of the Doctor. Now, the 12th and final incarnation of the Doctor, at least in the first cycle, is the 10th Doctor post the Stolen Earth regeneration, and the 11th Doctor, and there were certainly some very dark moments there, so if we could see maybe how the Valyart actually came into being in the first place, it would be interesting to see where he actually came from, because we need a lot more backstory in the Valyart, and we virtually know nothing about his origins, so seeing that on screen would be amazing. Anyway, that does it for this video, and if you have any thoughts on Doctor Who villains, or even companions you'd love to see return, then let me know in the comments. Also, like and subscribe, and if you're interested, go and check out my new podcast, The Movie Geeks with Brendan Prime. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone.